What is up, my fellow mobile gamers? In today's video, we got our best Forbidden Forest guide, part 2. We are going over the spells. Like and subscribe for more amazing mobile game content. Another quick shout out. This is a continuation from our part 1. Again, we had a community member reach out to us. This is all handwritten. They're helping supply this information. So a huge shout out and thanks to them for reaching out to me again. As well, I will have links to their webpage down below in the description box, so you can go ahead and support them as well. The offensive spells, and we got umlunguPhambene. This is the water jet cannon where you just keep shooting water out and you can move your character at the same time. When this spell reaches mythic tier, or even just really even legendary, when you just get it a high level, it basically becomes the boss killer. It puts out tons of single target damage. For that instance, this is one of the best cards that you really should prioritize taking into the Forbidden Forest team exploration with you to help take down those really tough bosses. We went over all the boss mechanics in the Forbidden Forest guide part 1, so go check that out if you missed it. Next one we have is Crucio. This card is so good, and this is another boss killer card. It also is able to stun most enemies as well, including bosses. This card is a rare exception where even if you did not manage to acquire its enhancements, you should still use it. Next question you're going to ask is, well, should you use Crucio or the umlunguPhambene? And honestly, you should bring both spells with you. Tip we have here is save 30,000 gold and buy this card from the shop random. You only need one copy. Next up we got is Thunderstorm. This was one of my favorites. This was the legendary card that I chose at the beginning. Great spell card, great for performing AoE effects on swarms of enemies. At mythic tier, it deals decent damage to single target units and again, good AoE. The card can be terrible though if you cannot get it to its mythic tier enhancement. There are very limited options in good offensive spell cards, and a fully enhanced Thunderstorm is a good placeholder until you do go ahead and get that Crucio skill card. Next we got is Weasley's Wildfire Whizbangs. This is another one that I absolutely love. It does not have enhancement, but it does good damage, and it acts as a placeholder until you get the umlunguPhambene or Thunderstorm enhancements, or even better, Crucio, the one that we just talked about. It's a very good card for new players because the game gives it to you very early on. However, like mentioned, there are going to be better options once you do get those better cards. Next we have is Glacius. This spell has no enhancement, but again, it's very underrated. When used correctly, you can hit up to 8 enemies, releasing AoE damage for each unit it targets, and deals overlapping AoE damage as well. The downside to this, however, is the fact that it only hits those ground units. So when you're dealing with flying units, yeah, pretty much this card's useless. It's a good spell card to bring in early stages when you don't have much enhancements yet, but you are going to swap this out for other cards. Next up we got is Bewitched Snowballs. It's very strong as well for swarming enemies. The enhancement works just like the spell Glacius, where massive AoE damage applies to each unit it touches and overlaps AoE damage. It can hit both air and ground units, and at the epic tier you can go ahead and replace Glacius with the Bewitched Snowballs. Next we got is the Spider Venom. This card has respectable damage, powerful slowing effect, and an odd thing to mention is though, for some reason this AoE ground poison spell can hit flying units in the Forbidden Forest, but not in other modes. Not sure if that is a glitch, but this is another card that we like to bring in, but I normally do not enhance it unless the other two options are really bad. It is one of the lower priority spells to enhance. Next up we got is our support spell cards. We got a Pesky. This is the champion of support cards because it goes ahead and it provides healing. It does not turn you into a healer. There is no MMO trinity in this game, tank, DPS, and healer. This spell is sufficiently strong with a single enhancement. Take further upgrades only if the other two options are terrible. Once this is enhanced though, you can cast other spells without interrupting a Pesky. This is the one that goes ahead and copies your last spell that is used and then adds +1 mana cost. This card must be included in your deck and ideally be used to copy your strongest offensive spell card. So strictly really good for the Forbidden Forest, When I did my tier list, this wasn't a card that I really recommended for like single duel battles, but for the Forbidden Forest, this is one that is actually really good. Next we have is the Time Turner. So if you're playing a Snap Echo, then this is your favorite card. It clones you, weaving those basic attacks, wand slapping everyone and their ancestors. I love his wording on this. You can exclude this card though if you are not using the Snappy. There is a limit though of 3 clones on the battlefield, including your allies' clones. So very important for that. Swelling Solution. Now this is one that I know a lot of people really like. Spell has no enhancement. It's a staple in your deck if you are using the Snap Echo, as it boosts your attack speed significantly. If you are using the Snap Echo, then it is subjective. I personally like it a lot due to the movement speed that it provides, and which basically means it provides good mobility for your character. It is also a very cheap 2 mana spell card, which helps to rotate out cards quickly. We have as our control spells, we have Venti. The spell has no enhancement, but is my favorite control card. It sends enemies away in a single direction and easily repositions enemies and gathers them in a group for some spicy AoE. For most boss fights, you might want to swap this out though, unless it is the spiders or the dark wizard, and in those circumstances the spell will help immensely. Then we have Inflatus. Although this spell has an enhancement, there is no real reason to take it, as it does not improve the crowd controlling aspect of the spell. This is another amazing crowd control card though that has a staple in my deck. As far as I know, there is no diminishing returns on regular enemies. There is, however, for bosses, which means you and your buddies can Inflatus spam one after another. And that is it for part 2 of our Forbidden Forest guide. All the spells, all the best spells to take. Again, huge shout out to the community member who helped supply me with this information. Their links down below in the description box. Go support them, check out their webpage. Stay happy, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace!